This Lawndale convenience store was shut down yesterday following a Chicago police investigation into the sale of synthetic cannabis. It's not known if this store is linked to any recent illnesses in the Chicago area from the product. A Department of Building spokesperson says several dangerous and hazardous building violations were found here after the police investigation.
We want to alert people to the dangers of using synthetic cannabinoids.
Chief Medical Officer for the Illinois Department of Public Health, Jennifer Layden, says since March 10th in the Chicago area, 17 cases of severe bleeding have been reported by people using synthetic cannabinoids.
With this particular cluster, what we are seeing is that people are coming in with varied types of bleeding, whether it's nosebleeds, bleeding from their gums, bleeding in their urine, very severe bleeding, which is prompting them to go to the emergency room.
How many locations have been involved for the purchasing of this?
People have reported purchasing it from various convenience stores, dealers, or acquiring it from friends. And the vast majority have reported that acquiring the product in the Chicagoland area.
All right, people. That was earlier today. Okay, now this has been quite the mess all over the internet all day and all week. Really, we've been hearing about these cases of synthetic cannabinoids, fake weed, whatever you want, whatever name you want to put on it. I personally do not like any association that you would make between this product and cannabis. However, because of the marketing materials that they've been using for this garbage, it's really, I guess it's kind of hard not to give credit to them for coming up with some fake weed. Now, here, the reason that you can get this shit at the fucking convenience store in Illinois, and you can't go to a dispensary in Illinois and buy marijuana, the real thing, which is safe and has never killed anybody, it's never made anybody go psychotic, never made anybody eat anybody's face. Now, I don't know if that really turned out to be caused by K2 spice, bath salts, or any of that. But anyway, it's been sensationalized as such, so we'll go with it. Let's just scare people. That's what they're trying to do. Obviously, always. But this time, it's again, they're just reinforcing the idea that we need to legalize marijuana in Illinois. Recreational marijuana needs to be legal in Illinois. And K2 or whatever the fuck name you want to call it, fake weed, synthetic THC, give me a break. This shit is nothing like weed, all right? And yeah. The reason you can buy that shit is because there's no laws against it. In Kansas, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, Louisiana, and Illinois, and 2 other states that they didn't mention here. Because currently, and I don't even know how recent this really, generic looking web information that I'm looking at is, but I do know it's true. So anyway, let's go back here and look at the full coverage. There's been a lot of talk about this, and now we have a fatal case in Illinois. A person dies after using synthetic marijuana. We have this coming in from NBC Chicago, Belleville News, Democrat, whatever that means, Peoria Journal Star, pretty much everybody. Everybody's reporting this. I don't watch the news, and I don't get newspapers, and I don't have cable and all this other stuff that makes me seem like I don't know what's going on out there, but I do, because I look at news stories all day and basically look at this shit. So when I do research to look for weed stories, I'll do a search for a particular story that might be what I consider a hot topic of the day, because a few people are writing about it, and you might get 10 of these. You might get 10. This is off the charts for a story about synthetic weed. This is everybody and their brother is writing about this shit. So it seems like it's a big story. You probably already heard about it. This is something, local news out of Illinois. Not sure where from, but this is something See Proud. Maybe Cleveland or Cincinnati or something. See, maybe Chicago. Duh. Okay, yeah, we're talking about Illinois. I keep thinking about Indiana because their medical marijuana laws are even more restrictive than Illinois, and obviously they have no ambition to do any kind of recreational, and even their decriminalization that they're talking about seems really low key. And maybe they're one of these two states that they didn't mention here, but I don't know about that. I think they did make it illegal there. So anyway, let's read this quick story here from See Proud out of Chicagoland. The Illinois Department of Public Health is reporting the death of an individual who experienced severe bleeding and reported using synthetic cannabinoids, often called spice, K2, or fake weed. To date, the IDPH has reported 38 people in Chicago area and in central Illinois who have experienced severe bleeding and reported using synthetic cannabinoids. Now on that note, these numbers have been increasing all throughout the day. So it sounds like the fallout is still coming from this batch of K2 or whatever. If this isn't even real, because this statement right here makes me kind of sketched out, especially after reading about cocaine being laced with fentanyl. Also a big story making its rounds over the last couple weeks. And the way the CDC reports on fentanyl overdoses and opioid overdoses and Xanax overdoses, and it's like when I look at the way that they report on all these things, I know they're using the numbers as scare tactics always. But in a situation like this, is this even real? You know, did somebody actually die from this K2 that's going around that's causing all these people to get bleeding? It's very possible, and I like to see proof and evidence and shit. So then they say this: to maintain confidentiality, additional information about the cases, including this death, is not available. I kind of believe that, and I kind of don't believe that. Like, it seems like we can know more about the death than they're telling us. So other than that, like, I don't doubt any of this. This isn't just some propaganda that they're trying to do to scare you away from K2 or spice. We know that this shit is fucking foul. It's terrible. Like, who the hell would use this stuff? I can't understand the logic behind it. Now, I've seen in situations where people are on probation because they did some kind of misdemeanor thing, or maybe even a felony, and now they have to take a piss test. And K2 and spice does not show up on a piss test. Back to the story. All cases have required hospitalization for symptoms such as coughing up blood, blood in the urine, severe bloody nose, and or bleeding gums. 3 of these cases have tested positive for brodifacoum, lethal anticoagulant often used as a rodenticide or rat poison. Quote, synthetic cannabinoids are unsafe. They can contain a variety of chemicals, and users often don't know what those are, such as rat poison, said IDPH Director Nirav D. Shah, MD, JD. Quote, despite the perception that synthetic cannabinoids are a safe alternative to marijuana, they can cause very severe illness. Now, where in the actual hell is this perception? Where do you get that notion there, Doc? Who ever thought that marijuana isn't safe? Because marijuana is completely the safest substance that we know about that you can get high on, basically. Can you name another one that's safer? Can you name another one that don't cause any permanent damage? Can you name another one that don't cause brain damage? Can you name another one that isn't highly addictive? Name another one that doesn't kill you. Name a substance you can get high on that if you take enough of it, it won't kill you. I know there's like LSD and mushrooms and other psychedelics, but when it comes to K2 cannabinoids, they're all safe. It's the safest. They're medicinal. They're so safe. They're good for you. I'm going to go that far. I'm going to go out on a limb and be like, this shit isn't dangerous. It's actually good for you. Now, you're saying there's a perception out there that synthetic cannabinoids, which are dirty research chemicals that basically are always changing, because when the DEA figures out what one of them is and they ban it, then they just change it a little and make a different one, or maybe add something to it. This shit is garbage. You know, it's a lab experiment, and guess what? If you buy it and use it, you're the lab rat. Simple as that. And the results of taking these research chemicals that no one knows anything about can vary. You know, can you have a good, pleasant experience? Yeah, it probably. Can you have a nightmare of a time and it be like one of the worst things that ever happened to you? That's very possible. From what I've read, it's pretty fucking almost guaranteed eventually if you keep doing the shit. So this is the one drug where I'm going to like look at the information that I know about, and I'm going to warn people. This shit is garbage. Please do not do it. And this Dr. Narav D. Shah, that there is no perception that synthetic cannabinoids are a safe alternative to marijuana. Nobody has that perception. Nobody. Absolutely nobody on the street. You got these kids walking around, they're like 14, 15 years old, and they want to fucking try drugs. And they can't seem to find any marijuana because it's all garbage, and you live in Illinois where it's highly illegal. You can get arrested for having it on you. So a lot of teenage kids don't even try to smoke it. And, you know, they find out about this shit. And it's packaged for kids. Look at the packaging. It's always packaged off flashy and fancy. You know, and you hear about all these things like when marijuana gets legalized and they want to regulate the packaging down to just some shit that looks like some weird medicine or something. Or, you know, like they're not trying to let you do flashy packaging. Here, I guess they don't care. And in Illinois, where it's not even illegal to sell the shit at a convenience store, I guess you can package it however the fuck you want, because there's no laws against that either. So no, dude, nobody out there thinks this shit's safer than weed. Because you know what? We don't have any headlines that say marijuana claims another death in Colorado, or claims its first death in Colorado, or ever, anywhere. There's never been anybody that died from cannabis. So there's no fucking buddy on this planet that's stupid enough to think that synthetic cannabinoids are safer than real weed. It's just not a thing. Synthetic cannabinoids are human-made, mind-altering chemicals and sprayed on dried plant material. They can be smoked as a solid, or smoked or sold as liquids to be vaporized in e-cigarettes and other devices. The health effects from using synthetic cannabinoids can be unpredictable, harmful, and deadly. IDPH continues to investigate to try to identify common products and determine where they were obtained. Hello, they obtain them, they buy them. This shit is sold on the open market. If you don't have a law against selling them, then people are allowed to sell them. Point blank. You don't have any regulations on them at all. Synthetic cannabinoids are found across Illinois and the U.S. in convenience stores, gas stations, drug paraphernalia shops, novelty shops, and online. So head shops. Sorry. I thought they were saying pharmacy for some reason. Anyway, anyone who has a reaction to synthetic cannabinoids should call 911 and have someone take them to the emergency department immediately. You know what? I'd go one step farther and say anybody who wants to try to smoke synthetic cannabinoids should just stop right there. No, don't do that. And please just go smoke some real weed. To maintain confidentiality, additional information about the cases, including this death, is not available. And here's the IDPH official warning about synthetic cannabinoids, just issued on 27th of March 2018. Now, I live in Michigan, and we were having problems with this bullshit like 5 years ago or something. And I don't remember exactly when, but sometime between now and back then. Michigan said, fuck this. This shit's illegal. You can't sell it. If we catch you with it, we're going to give you fucking these are what you're going to get. And they kind of didn't like do like a chemical breakdown of exactly what this shit was. They just said, generically speaking, anything that's synthetic cannabinoids, fake weed, spice, K2, and they had a few of the brand names that were already pretty popular at the time and are still being pretty much used. I mean, they do all these names that sound like the names of popular marijuana strains, for example. And they like, you know, Kush Bomb, or it's like some weird combination of already known names with some other name that's related to the candy industry or whatever else, you know. So, yeah, there's not much new involved here. But once again, they make this absurd statement. Despite the perception that synthetic cannabinoids are safe and a legal alternative to marijuana, no. First of all, they're not safe. No one has that perception, and the only reason they're legal is because you didn't make them illegal yet. It's pretty much, it's that simple. This is on you. So they don't know how to deal with this. I've read articles about this, how the DEA, you know, they'll break it down and be like, okay, this is the chemical we're looking at here for this particular. They can't just say, okay, we're going to ban everything that says K2 on the package, because that's not how it works. You got to ban the actual substance, not the marketing name or whatever the fuck. And when you try to do that, it gets to be a real slippery slope, because as soon as you ban this chemical, they just turn the chemical into something a little bit different, maybe add something else to it or take something that they already had in it out of it. And it's just immediately they skirt that. No shortage of articles about it. The headlines all talking about synthetic weed, synthetic pot, fake cannabinoids, you name it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that weed has to have this thing attached to it, because I guess the people that market it make it seem like, you know, oh, you can get like a high, this is going to make you feel like you did cannabinoids. No, it is not. And if you've ever smoked real weed and then you've smoked this shit, which I've never come in contact with this stuff, by the way. Full disclosure. I'm never would even consider it, even if someone offered it to me and, you know, hyped it up as something that was good or whatever, and I seen them enjoying it. Just the fact that they call it fucking synthetic weed or fake pot or whatever the fuck, that they associate this research chemical bullshit with actual real weed, already turns me off so much. I just hate it. All right. Wrong article. But anyway, that's all I got on this. Is this officially another of these K2 spice deaths that we just seen? I don't know. You know, like I said, I've been getting it's been really hard for me to trust the government lately, or anybody that's putting out this information that they found, you know, these people that, or they found that this guy died after he said he smoked some K2 or some spice, and then he had the bleeding, and then he died. That's not enough, man. I need to know more. I need to know exactly what this was. Did he die from a brain hemorrhage? Was it a heart attack? How do you know it was caused by the synthetic pot? Did he have any other, you know, drugs in his system? Because I've seen him, you know, you'll take a fentanyl death and then you'll look at it and you'll be like, wait a minute, this guy also had Xanax, heart medication, diabetes medication, stress medication, and antipsychotics in his system. And you also counted his death over here on the Xanax death list. So, and the drug interaction death list. So this guy got counted 3 times. So I've seen how they fucking, you know, flub the numbers and try to, you know, I guess pad the numbers or make them scary for some reason. They make them scary when they want to make them scary, and they make them seem insignificant when they want to do that. And they always use percentages, you know, or ratios to make numbers sound meaner and scarier if they don't sound scary enough. And, you know, so I don't know if I trust these guys, but I do know this. This shit is garbage. Please don't fucking buy this shit. Suppose this death was caused by this. You actually have people dying from this shit. And you're acting like there's some kind of perception out there that people think that marijuana is more dangerous than synthetic marijuana. You better fucking get your propaganda straight, because this is just straight up dangerous propaganda. That's all I got. Hit the subscribe button. And see you next time.